Okay, shall we start? And we know that few people have mentioned that they will not be joining live and they'll be seeing the recording. So welcome again to another series of our webinars and chats around like subject areas of importance to both the Anglo-Jordanian societies. My name is Mais Haddadine, and I am the Deputy Chair of the Anglo-Jordanian Society, which is a UK registered charity and with the objective of promoting basically friendship and understanding between the two nations. Like we like to shed a light on unique initiatives and some success stories from back home in Jordan. And today we are so excited to be hosting Cynthia and Ghadeer. Cynthia is the co-founder of DigiTales and the director of Salim, the movie Salim. And Ghadeer is the strategic partnership manager for Amal for Children and was participant of the content creation. In the audience, we also have Shadi and Nadia, who are the executive and senior producers of Salim. So, Cynthia, what is Salim? Like watching all these, promotions and teasers online, and just listening to the story of Salim made us so excited to be hosting you. And thank you for today. So, would you please start telling us about Salim, please?
Thank you, Mais. Thank you, everyone. And we really appreciate this opportunity to be part of this webinar by the Anglo-Jordanian Society. Mais has been sharing about the initiative and all the work, the great work that the society is doing. And we're honored to be hosted today with you. Mais, how about we play the trailer and then maybe we can talk a little bit more about the idea and the
perfect.
Yeah.
Dima in the background, would you mind?
اسمي سليم. كنت عايش بقرية كتير حلوة، وفي يوم من الأيام كل شيء تغير. صار حرب بالقرية وخسرت أكتر حد بحبه، أبوي.
جبتينا هون، ما بدي أروح على أي محل. أي خلص عاد، أنا مشتاق لبيتي القديم، مشتاق لأبوي كتير.
أنت سليم مثل المرحوم مراد، مظبوط. تذكرت أصحابي وتذكرت كل اللي صار معي. كنت بخاف كل ما برجع أفكر بهذاك اليوم بصير بطني بوجعني.
أنا كل ما أشوف ورقة الامتحان بصير بطني يوجعني. هاي شكلها ورقة مهمة، إيش فيها؟ خطة البحث عن الكنز رسمياً بدأ، وهيك رح نسبقهم للكنز. كل المدرسة رح تضحك علينا، لا ما رح بتيجي. سليم ساعدني. شو الضحكة هاي؟ طلع عنده أسنان.
شو رأيك أسليك بهالقصة؟ ما بدنا يصير فينا زي البنت اللي بالقصة، إنه نراقب الدنيا حوالينا من دون ما نستمتع فيها.
طريقها طويل وشوي صعب، بس في أغلب الأوقات الدرب الصعب بيوصلنا لمكان حلو.
يا سليم، راح تتعلم تصير أقوى، أنا متأكد من هالشيء.
So Cynthia, tell us why Salim?
I'm not sure if the music was clear in the trailer, but we can provide a link to the trailer later. As a content creation company, DigiTales, we are. Let me just share a slide just about us and acknowledging the team with us. So DigiTales is an award-winning, we're a boutique animation and content creation company based in Amman, Jordan. We produce quality, creative, and innovative and valuable content and we specialize in what is called social impact entertainment. In 2017, these are some of our pioneering projects. And the idea started before I talk about the film Salim and Amal for Children. Let me just go back in history a bit. We have a couple of IPs that we produce at Digitales. We have a very popular, now popular animation family series on YouTube. It's called Our Family Life. And back in 2017, we released an episode that what we wanted to raise awareness about the issue of children protection and especially about sexual abuse against children. And once we released this episode on YouTube, it went viral. The audience interacted and engaged really well. And they started sharing their heartbreaking stories with us and asking for help and for more content that addresses issues like this, especially, parents and organizations working with children. And, the idea of using animation and the sensitivity of the way we dealt with the issue was it appealed to our audience. So we realized after that there's a huge gap in care and in resources addressing mental health needs, especially for children. And as you all know, the situation in the past few years has been very sad and volatile, not just in our region, but around the world. And children and youth usually are the ones who suffer the most, especially from trauma, anxiety, depression, and toxic stress. So we as a company, we decided to step in and do something about it in our own way. So we put together a team of storyteller, artists and animators and psychologists from around the world. And we organized this team and we started this innovative project. The idea was to raise awareness and conversations around mental health. And not just that, but to also offer help for people, especially in places where traditional interventions are not available. And we all know that it's not enough to cover the need. So we started working on the film Salim, and this is how the idea came about. And at the same time, we also started working on the mental health platform Amal for Children that Ghadeer will share a little bit about it in a bit. And we had more than maybe 120 people working on this project from all around the world, including England, by the way.
That's really, really amazing, because I think mental health for children is such a prominent subject that everyone is talking about. Even here, we had the movie Adolescents and when we say children, we mean children and young adults and youth. And it has two things. There's this kind of what we described as the chronic stress that the children in the region are struggling with. But also there's this kind of social stigma around mental health that everyone is kind of lacks to talk about. So having a movie with animation, to me, animation usually we relate it to children, but it's also a bridging tool actually to kind of convey a message. So please tell us more about the animation part.
I agree, Mais. I mean, we all love animation. I mean, not just children, but the child in us also loves animation. I think we enjoy animation. And through our work and experience, we also realize that there's a power in animation it's a disarming medium. It doesn't trigger the biases as much as we think human actors, or live action, especially when talking about sensitive issues. And it also allows for animation to transcend, cultural stigmas and cultural boundaries. So I think it's a great tool to address these topics.
That's really, really like, but it requires, I bet, a lot of hours of drawing and stuff, and a lot of collaborations and partnerships.
Yes.
But I'm interested also to hear about the story of Salim. Like, like we've seen the trailer, and hopefully one day we'll host the movie here in London. So if
Yeah.
any of the audience can help us get contact to do so, I'm really interested to hear the story behind Salim, or even if there are stories that you can share with us that people started talking to you about while you're preparing for the movie or after you've shown it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, what we noticed is Salim's story resonated with a lot of different audiences around the world. When we screened it in festivals and in special screenings, it resonated with audience, children and adults, grandparents, and it resonated really well. Salim's story is not a story about war. Yeah, okay, it's about what comes after. And the story is told through the eyes of Salim. He's a 9-year-old boy. He loses his father in war and moves to another town with his siblings and mother. And he struggles to adapt. He gets bullied. He's suffers from nightmares. But one day he finds a treasure map. And this treasure maps lead him into a journey where he finds hope and healing. And at the end he's able to tell his story, and that's I think the powerful part of the film. It's about human experiences, about our response to traumatic events, no matter what the causes are, and it's about resilience, friendship, and community. We wanted to tell a story about hope and triumph rather than to dwell on, the sad parts. We wanted people to see that there is hope, and we wanted to speak hope in the hearts of our little audience and our adult audiences as well. But we also didn't want to stop here. We created also Amal for Children, this innovative project that is licensed to schools, children's centers, organizations, and it provides much needed therapeutic material. Amal for Children Ghadeer will tell us more about it. We have multiple stories, Mais. I remember after the first screening of Salim in Annecy Film Festival in France. After the first screening, we were really on, we didn't know what to expect. This is an Arabic-speaking film, shown to an audience, French-speaking audience, and international audience in its original language with subtitles. And it was our first film, to produce our first feature film, Jordan's first feature film, animation feature film. And there's an audience of critics and other audience, diverse audience. And after the screening, a lady comes to, this is just one of the stories, a lady comes to us and she's in tears and she says, thank you for producing this film. She says, this film spoke to the child in me. It really changed me. And she says, she was in tears. She says, spoke to the child in me, although it's in a different language, different story. She has probably never been, I don't know, displaced or experienced war, but there's this human experiences that we all, identify with, no matter what our story is. And we were really proud, about this.
No, thank you for sharing that. I was just going to say that, as you mentioned, we all go through journeys in life, be it us growing up in Jordan, we've kind of lived through in our childhood and teenage years, like several wars, really, and we've seen it. And then moving here to the UK, you meet quite a few families that are trying to socially integrate into the societies. So be it adults or be it young children, but even our own children who live protected lives, they move on different journeys in life, and they face, challenges around anxiety, depression, stress, and loneliness, because we're living more and more in segregated communities rather than in communities where you have the network to support to grow the child. And we're seeing, a lot of attention on that subject area. So this is very, very much will be speaking to our audience as well, we hope. But before we move to talking about the platform, which is the enablement, after realizing that this is a big subject area and there's a need to be addressed, I would love to celebrate the movie. Like I've known you, Cynthia, since we were in Jordan and as a childhood friend, and seeing the success coming from, if I may call, a small small country as Jordan, and small and medium enterprise like yours, and being enabled and being on that big scene. Tell us a bit more about the awards that you, Salim, have won so far.
Yeah, let me share that slide. Okay, so
oh wow, quite a few, hard to remember.
Yeah, it was amazing, Mace, as you said. It was overwhelming, and it was amazing to see how it resonates first and the impact it created. But also, we're very proud that it was the first Jordanian animation feature film, and it in that quality and with that recognition all around the world. The film took 5 years to make, and we released the film in 2 festivals, went through the festival circuit in 2023. It circulated in 16 international prestigious festivals around the globe, including as I mentioned. And also it was released in theaters in Jordan and across the GCC in 2024. Such an exciting journey for the team. The film won 8 international awards in Canada, Jordan, Italy, Spain, Chicago, and Morocco. And one of the best awards that I personally connect with is the Audience Award, and it has won multiple Audience Awards. And of course, the highlight of all this was receiving the Order of King Abdullah II for Excellence last May. It was such an honor for the whole team. It was such a proud moment and an honor for the whole team.
Incredible, like really, I have goosebumps just listening to all of this. We're so proud of you, and as Rial in the audience said, bravo, like really well done, and we're really proud of you. And I would encourage the audience, if you have any questions to Cynthia or Ghadeer or anything, please add it to our chat or to the questions. I'm trying to keep an eye to see if there's questions to be raised. And so the movie was published. We had all these awards, and the team is getting bigger. And then you guys realized we're highlighting an important area. There is such a pain and need. Why stop here? And I loved listening to your story about how that got translated to Amal, which means hope, a platform to enable that change and enable really the journey of healing of the kids or of the young adults. I would love to hear more about that. Maybe start with the story of how it started, and then Ghadeer, you can tell us about the platform itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Ghadeer, go ahead. You can you can share about
Hi,
it.
everyone. It's great to be here. Well, Mace, the idea behind the platform was parallel to the filmmaking. So we, in true form of our listening to our audience, we wanted to respond with an empowering tool. So that's what makes this project unique in its own way, because we decided to create a series, an animation series around the story of Salim. And then we worked with our team of psychologists to create a curriculum that integrates the therapy modality that is highlighted in the film in more detail, so that people who wrote to us, from all over and said, we need tools that are easy access, that we can understand, and we're not necessarily trained therapists. How can we, as trauma-informed carers, offer help to children going through all kinds of different circumstances? And so we created this platform with a series around the animation and then a step-by-step curriculum. So it takes people, I'll show you a little bit on the website.
Yes, please.
So this is our beautiful little website. You may all go ahead and access it if you want. We wanted to create a healing journey parallel to the film. So there's a treasure hunt in the film, and through all of it is weaved the story of healing and wellness. And so we created 10 lessons around these animation episodes, and each lesson addresses a specific therapeutic topic. We start with awareness, so we start letting kids know, first of all, you're not alone. This is not just you. This is something that many people go through, and it's normal to feel the way you feel. Because you see Salim, in the story, he's frustrated with himself. He's not sleeping well. He can't focus in class. He's rattled easily, the sound of anything passing him. And so we're saying this is normal. Children who go through difficult circumstances, it's normal for them to have these different reactions. And, the therapy modality that we adopted along with our team of psychologists focuses on something that is called narrative exposure therapy. And of course, we combine things like trauma-informed cognitive behavioral therapy, family systems, and pain management. And, when people go through traumatic experiences, their memory of the experience is stored in something in the, in plain language, in the hot part of the brain. So it keeps firing and it keeps triggering, and somebody has no control over what their body will react to. And when people, children or adults, learn to tell their story in a logical way, in a sequential way, and put words or even drawings, because some of our audiences are young, they can't write or read, but then they're able to tell their story. These memories go back to the cold part of the brain, and so they don't fire, all the time. And we also wanted to make the tool even more effective in making videos that teach skills like breathing, controlled breathing, or muscle relaxation. So these, I'll show you quickly. I won't open the video, but I'll show you what we did. We created live action films, thought management. What do I do when thoughts are eating at my brain and I'm starting to think all the negative things? Or if I feel out of control, how can I regain? And part of the empowering aspect of teaching these skills to children, of course, you all know, is gaining back agency and control of your body. So with breathing exercises, with muscle relaxation, children can gain back control of their body and not feel so helpless. We created, we wanted this to be accessible for people who aren't therapists or professionals, but of course it can be used by everybody. We created a screening tool, different kinds of questions to take your kids. For example, you're a teacher in a school, you get, some form of training on this program, and then you can screen the children in your program. There's several kinds of, it's very simple, and through this, you can tell if your students or children under your care are able to interact with this material. So, and then we made some fun activities for children, coloring pages. And, we wanted to make this a rich tool in the hands of social workers and volunteers and community-based interventions. And I'm proud to say we have this program in 3 languages. So we have it in Arabic. And then, all of our material is in Arabic, and then in Latin American Spanish. And we felt there was a need in many Latin American countries as well, in vulnerable communities who wanted to also share this among their communities. And so we went and worked with some of the best dubbing studios that do world-class animations, and did it really, really high quality, as well as all the material.
That was one of actually my questions, was because, you showed us kindly the platform in English and how many languages. And I'm really happy to see that you've enabled far more nations and number of people
Yes.
while providing it in the 3 languages.
Yeah.
And I'm loving more and more that it's like a trail journey that one can
Yes.
take himself onto, as
Yes.
well as your children or your students, or
Yes.
It's such an incredible, and to put all of this together must have taken like a big wide team.
Yes.
Tell us more about how that came along and the excitement behind that.
Yeah, the team of psychologists we work with come from people that have worked in the field for over 20 years, and they worked with all kinds of vulnerable populations, whether it's children or adults who are victims of torture or refugees, or who experienced war and toxic stress, and so their experience helped them and helped us shape this combination of different modalities to put them in this unique combination. So we wanted to do narrative exposure therapy, but we understand the importance of cognitive behavioral therapy, of awareness, of all these things. So it was a lot of work. We worked with a big team, and then we did studies.
And actually, just one thing here, that even with the psychologists, we worked on the colors, the music,
yes,
the shape of the facial expressions,
Yeah.
So they were also involved in the artistic part so that we can convey the real emotions.
Yeah.
And also be trauma sensitive, create a trauma sensitive material. So
yes, sounds
you wanted to say about the field
Yeah, no, of course, this is very important because we wanted to be trigger-free in a way. The sounds of things, the shape of cars, the shape of streets and buildings, the strobing, we stayed away from things that are strobing lights and things like this. So it was very carefully crafted. As for the curriculum, we tested it. First we did a test with the UNHCR on the first 14 minutes of the animation. And this was two groups of refugee populations in Iraq and Egypt. And there were 50 field workers involved in this study. And we wanted to see if it piqued the curiosity of children, if they wanted to know more about the story, if they see Salim as a universal character, not as a removed cartoon that they're watching, and if it raises empathy. And on all these categories, it came out with flying colors. And so we were encouraged to carry on. And then when we finished the platform and working on the curriculum, we reached out to friends and field experts and said, please take this, take a look, tell us what you think. And we received incredible feedback, incredible endorsements. Do you want to talk about them, Cynthia?
I can one of them.
Yeah, we have actually, I don't know if Dr. Sama is here. She's from Child and Training.
She's here.
She is?
I don't think
Child and Family Training in the UK. They are a specialized group of therapists and professionals, and they took a detailed look at all the material and gave us endorsements. And we're going with them to a couple of conferences coming up. One is in Latin America, and one in Lithuania. And we're taking this as a study piece. This is something that we're presenting on a world scale, as an innovative therapeutic tool. And so I want to share, just before I go, one of the—
You're not going anywhere. Wait.
Well, before, we get so, it's so rewarding and encouraging, when people who work in the field come back and tell you, this is amazing. And one of our first, the people that we worked with on this, on looking through and reviewing the material was Dr. Solfrid Raknes. She's Norwegian. She's a senior mental health clinician, and she's also a developer of her own platforms and content for youth. And she says this, I'm going to read it off so I don't miss, but she said, this is the best material I have ever seen for children with any type of mental health difficulties. I'm sure that Amal can make a huge difference, both in an early intervention tool, as in therapy for children with PTSD, and then friends of traumatized children should get access to. And then, she talks about the curriculum and, in addition to the series, I love the material you have created around it to facilitate the use of it as a self-help tool and in PSS or SAL curricula. And she's on the board of the prevention and promotion of the European Federation of Psychologists. And so we treasure our friends' feedback, and we have many on our website. You can go in and read their feedback and endorsement. And so, yeah, it's very encouraging to us.
Yeah, no, and that gives the whole movement credibility. And if I may call it, it's really a movement, because it's such a dynamic space that you got engaged with, and hopefully we can build further bridges for you here in the UK, and we can grow even further, because as I mentioned, like we our young people and children here, even in London, if I take that as an example, and the wider UK, are facing several challenges, and having such a tool to enable them to go through the journey is just incredible to be hearing about. And if I may also, like, before I go there, I have quite a few people saying, other than amazing, incredible work, but they're saying, where can we watch the movie? If I may, we would love to host it as the Anglo-Jordanian Society and have it maybe in Leicester Square or something.
We would love that.
But let's kind of try and host you here in the UK and showcase it. Like, again, because of the need for it, but also we're so proud of you as a as a company and as a group of people that you're putting your hearts in this. And but is I just don't want to jump over here. Is it only shown in cinemas or movie, or is it available online? How can people access it?
Yeah, right now it finished. It went through, as I said, the theatrical release in Jordan and GCC countries. That was last year. And right now it's with an agent to market it to platforms. And but it's not yet. Hopefully it will be soon, but it's not yet on platforms. But we are still doing like private screenings here and there, and like, for instance, we did private screenings in Qatar, in Jordan here, and in other places. So yes, I mean, we'd love to host. Would love you to host a screening in London. That would be great, or in any place in the UK.
Thank you. No, I mean, I think it's something that we would be looking at to do a private screening of the movie here, hosted by the Anglo-Jordanian Society, and also potentially introducing you to some of the schools that in the different areas. So I would encourage our audience or our listeners to kind of, come with ideas to build bridges and open up doors. And you never know where this journey takes us, but it is about people stepping up and actually taking an action. And that takes me also, Cynthia, to we talked about Salim and the platform, and you as a company enabling social impact. Can you tell us more about that, please?
Yeah. Sure. As we shared, I mean, it's our mission, to create social impact through entertainment and digital content that is, crafted, carefully crafted for our audiences. Amal for Children is currently implemented in many countries by different organizations across the region. It's being implemented in Jordan with some grassroots organizations here, and in Egypt, in Lebanon, Iraq, and hopefully soon in Syria and Palestine, and in other countries. It's also being used in the US, especially in schools and some refugee centers. And this year, we will also reach 9 countries in Latin America through one of our partners. And I would love to, actually, the most important thing, Mais, is not, the achievements are amazing. I mean, the awards and recognitions are encouraging, and it's just amazing. It gives the team, it encourages the team so much. But I would say the impact on children, I mean, children's stories and young people's stories and audience gives that, a different level of recognition, not recognition, but satisfaction.
Satisfaction. Okay. Yeah.
I'd like to share one line that a 16-year-old girl from Sudan who finished the program through a center in Egypt. And she said she escaped the current conflict and shared with her social worker after completing the sessions. And she said, watching Salim's story made me feel like I wasn't alone. It helped me realize that it's okay to feel sad and that things can get better. I learned that even though I miss my father so much, I can still find ways to cope and move forward. And when you hear a story like this, that's it. That you've changed somebody's life. You were a tool to change somebody's life, and that's very rewarding. That's our mission. And stories like this are the what motivates us and helps motivates us to keep working and spread the word and widen its reach, because we know there's a huge need everywhere.
It's really incredible, and it is very touching. And as you said, impacting lives is the most meaningful thing one can do, regardless of everything around us, especially when the world is going with more polarized visions and less kindness, and I just find that incredible. And we need more people like you and your team to really be the change makers in the world. So thank you for that. We really, really appreciate that. And like, hearing you say this and etc. And this is a question for you and Ghadeer, especially around partnerships and stuff. What can we do to support? Looking ahead, I have a question from the Sun saying, is there a plan for a sequel? What are the plans going ahead? But also, how can we be part of this fun journey and enablement of such a great platform and cause, really?
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mais, for this question and for your interest and for having this for your heart towards vulnerable people. And we want to spread the word, first of all, reach more people around the world, expand our distribution and partnerships in the region and around the world as well, in other places, and build more partnerships, localize Amal into multiple other languages, make it accessible for children globally, especially in underserved communities. And we also would an answer to Hassan's question, yes, we're working to expand the material, and also we have several ideas and projects in the pipeline, as are there sequels or new projects. Working on this took 5 years, so I hope it won't take us another 5 years to produce something new. But we have more experience and more, and a team that's ready, we have a great team. I'm so thankful. I would like to, take this opportunity to also highlight and thank the team, an amazing team.
How big is the team, Cynthia? I'm interested to know that.
Our team is we're a small team. We're not a huge team. We're like the office. We're 27, but we have a very wide pool of people that we work with from all around the world, project-based, team. And one other thing is that we would like to expand the material to include more courses that are specifically addressing other important themes, to widen the platform of Amal for Children to include grief and loss, anxiety, or conflict resolution, and other themes that are very important. And in the pipeline, this is one of Shadi, our co-founder's dreams, is to introduce Amal for Children into hospitals and pediatric wards for long-stay youth and children who are, they're battling chronic illnesses, and integrating it with AI. So this is a project that is now in the pipeline, and supporting, to support the emotional well-being of these children and young adults through storytelling, animation, and therapeutic tools. So this is the next step for Amal for Children, hopefully in the near future. So yeah, but we're looking for I don't know, Ghadeer, if you have any other ideas or.
Yeah, no, it's exciting to spread the word, and we want Amal to reach as many children as possible, and we want people to step up and say, listen, I want to come in and sponsor a community, a school, or a group of children to receive this course. We're implementing it now in a very small center in Amman, 6 children who've been through so much, and it's making a huge difference in their lives and their families' lives. So this is my, when I look at partnerships, it's not just the big ones and strategic ones, but also small community impact where, people step in and say, I want to step in and help this community get the help they can need. And so this is my dream. I want more and more, we see it. I go to trainings, I attend, workshops. I'm always, I try to join as many as I can here in Jordan, and we even went to Egypt as well, Shadi and I, and we see the impact, whether the trainings or whether the implementation, and we just want more and more children to receive this work and this impact and to be empowered. The idea is that part of the problem with trauma is that there's so much shame and guilt that come with it, and so much loneliness, and you want to get these kids in groups where they feel safe and heard and empowered. You're not crazy. You're not, there's nothing wrong, something bad happened, or some things in your life. It doesn't have to be a war per se. It could be a lot of things, and you're not crazy. You're not alone. There's hope for you. Anyway, so yeah, I'm always dreaming.
No, this is incredible, and it opens up also ideas for us. So for example, Cynthia, the example you gave, and Shadi, hats off for your dream. I would say in September we raised a campaign in the UK that was the kindness campaign to get medical support and crutches all the way to Gaza through the different partners we have, and we had medical groups that were part of that partnership, as well as the YMCA, for example, and kindly the Royal Jordanian Airline took it at their own expense to deliver to one of the Hashemites charities in Jordan that get across to Gaza. And so building on that, we can build another bridge, possibly with the hospitals here that could utilize that. Like Yasmin kindly left a comment saying, trauma is a root cause for so many diseases. It's not just a mental health issue. It's actually causes, physical disease, and it can change an adult life. So it's help us to dream with you. But on the other hand, also maybe we could initiate, and I raise it here to the board of Anglo-Jordanian who are listening to me, to say an initiative, let's sponsor, 5 children or 10 children, or however we can discuss that further with you, and to kind of have a wider reach, and hopefully we can be one of those kind of bridges that kind of supports the
impact,
really.
Mais, because in Egypt and even here in Jordan, the parents call in, and this is why we love it, because sometimes the parents don't know how to help their children, or the caregivers. It's not always the parents, it's the caregivers, and they're also sometimes traumatized. And then they're telling us after their children go through the program, oh my goodness, everything changed. My child is now expressing themselves, they're speaking, they're telling us, and they're they have a different outlook, and it changes the whole family dynamic. In some instances, we had mothers show up and say, we want to watch this. We want to see what our kids are benefiting from. We want that too. And we're like, yes, give it to the mothers, give it to host communities, wherever there is migrant populations, or even, vulnerable populations. Host communities are key, in making or breaking somebody's, experience, and how a host community can come around. And we stress that so much also in our program, is that the people who come around Salim and share from their experiences, and surround them with kindness, and give them and empower them with hope and tools. It makes a huge difference. So it has multiple ways that it can be used.
That's a really important point you raise here, because the UK has been such a kind and host community. Yes. I was, 5 years ago, I was part of establishing a charity here for community sponsorship of refugees. And we've been hosting since then, the Syrian refugees, Afghani refugees, Sudani, and recently the Ukrainian refugees. And one of the main things that these people face as challenges, not only that they carry their trauma, but they find it hard to really integrate into the societies. When you close your eyes and you think the word refugee, we see what we see on the news. We forget that these are people, these are families, it's our children, it could be, and no one is protected from that. So I think that also could open up doors with these type of communities that have decided to welcome refugees and into the UK, and we can hopefully build a bridge there. No, that's really, really incredible. And we can't express how proud we are of the work you guys have done and around enabling and building resilience from within for the children, young adults, and as well as the adults to give them the tools really to support. What would you like to end with, like a personal message from Ghadeer and Cynthia? Shadi, I wish you're with us here to tell your part of it. But please, what would be a message that you would like us to carry with us and for the listeners on this webinar?
My message is a personal one. Whether we know people who are going through a hard time in our family or in our surroundings, or we ourselves went through hard times either in our childhood or in our youth years, or now, as adults. What I learned through this journey is never lose hope. Hope is a very important word. It's so deep and so impactful. And things don't have to stop there. We all went through hard times and challenges. In some of our team members, I personally went through hardships in the past few years. And the key word is always focus on, hope and faith and what it means, and how does it change us? How does it change our, how we look at things and how we deal with things? And the other thing is, keep an eye and to help people around and to be kind. As you mentioned, kindness, Mace. This is a very important aspect. How to be kind to people around us and see their pain and help them. And the other thing I want to share is I'm really thankful and very, very I really appreciate, and I'm sure the whole team appreciates this, giving us this platform to share our story and tell you more about our work and its impact. And I really hope that this will create a ripple effect and we can reach many other communities with this initiative. So yeah, we're very, very thankful. We're grateful. I don't know, Ghadeer, if you have anything to say.
I don't know what to add after what you said. It's we don't know what somebody is going through at any moment, and right now the world is hurting, and we can, with knowledge and a bit of, tools in our hands, empower others to walk on journeys of healing. And this, for me, it has been an incredibly encouraging journey. I'm not trying to just, say glowing reviews about our own project, but, it's been an encouraging journey to see change. It gives me hope because, sometimes you look at the situation, it's so bleak. And then, you see people opening up and, regulating themselves and learning to tell their stories. And this gave me so much hope because often we think therapy is like one-on-one, but this is not available for everybody. It can't cover all the needs. And so this project gave me a lot of hope. And I hope that we can impart it on you and all people who interact with it. And yeah, thank you for helping us spread the word. We look forward to see it reach. It's, we've seen it now reach thousands of children, and we want it to even reach tens more thousands of children. So.
No, and we're incredibly grateful for you being here, and yeah, very, very thankful. And it can be, as you both said, it can be very lonely in the heart of the storm. Sometimes reaching out seems difficult because it's very isolating being in the heart of the storm, and having that network and community and tools is brilliant. I have just a question here raised, and feel free to say, we'll come back to you. Is there a kind of, how much does it cost to kind of sponsor, a child, a young adult, or a group of them? Is there something as such, or do you prefer to work with institutions? How would that work?
Yeah. Mace, we've worked so far with organizations, the giving license to organizations. So when we deal with organizations, we cater to their needs. We design an offer catering to their needs. But the cost per child is ranges between around $60 to $80 to go through the process, the whole program. So that's basically what we're offering right now. Of course, it's possible for people to subsidize or sponsor children, so it can be available for more people. And of course, we work also with organizations and with organizations.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for that, and that's a very reasonable number that we as a group of community we can stand behind, and maybe I'm speaking here with for DEMA and like the board of the Anglo-Jordanian Society. We can start by raising funds to sponsor a group of kids, and then also open up doors, hopefully with institutions, schools that we're part of or aware of, as well as His Royal Highness and their Royal Highnesses. Friends in the medical field, we can hopefully start again, be part of that movement. It will be brilliant. I also have Sada here. She's saying she would love to talk more. You got some people excited because she's a development psychologist in the UK, and she would like to explore further that. Sada, I can put you in touch with Ghadeer directly. Because she's the one responsible for the partnerships, and we can take it from there. But please keep the ideas coming. The whole purpose of hosting these webinars is that we shed the light not only on the problem, but also on the hope, and on the people that are supporting that ripple of change that we can take across. And yeah, again, we thank you so much. We're very grateful for your time. Thank you so much for our audience. I don't think I've missed any question or comment, but it's been a real pleasure, and hopefully we can reach more. Shadi, next time we'll have you as the you're not running away from me. No, thank you again. Lovely.
Thank you, everyone.
To be connected with you. Thank you so much. Have a good day. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.